Hey everyone, welcome to our third portrait, and this one was the most fun for me to do. I knew I wanted to do like a floating head cinematic portrait. These are so common. Um, just like a whole bunch of heads floating in outer space, and they're like, "Ugh, ugh," whatever, like it's this. I'm not an actress clearly, but I really wanted to do a floating head. I don't know another name to call it, so I'm just going to call it floating heads. Now I didn't know if it was going to be like a comedy. I thought this I really like this guy. I'm gonna have to use him in another piece, but he kind of has like this Wes Anderson feel to him. And this is all on Pexels, so I'm definitely gonna have to use him. I was kind of thinking of maybe doing like a floating head, sort of Wes Anderson style. Maybe I'll just have to do a second cinematic portraits, like the sequel class, and I can do that there. But I wasn't quite sure the style, the theme yet. If you're designing movie posters, you have the script, you have the actors, like what you're trying to convey, and but we're just kind of making it up as we go along. So I really had to find my actresses, my actors, the characters of my fake movie, and it's kind of fun. Like I love this part because it's kind of like your fantasy movie. When I listen to I listen to audiobooks when I paint. And I always try to think about what characters I would cast for the audiobook if it was a movie. And now we could kind of do it on our own, but we're designing our own movies. Okay, so this is the where I kind of stopped. I was like, oh, I have seen this so many times, and there's even a Reddit page on this that they use this red and blue color scheme. So now I'm trying to think of, this is what really sparked everything. Just saying portrait of woman, sci-fi, into Pexels, and if you've seen this painting, you're seeing all the characters now. Like, these are so cool. And then I started to imagine what this movie would be like. And I was like, okay, Earth, years from now, red Earth, like demolished from pollution and whatever. Climate change, pandemics, I mean, all of it I was thinking about. And because I'm designing this, it doesn't have to be a real script, but I had this idea of a red planet and these people that are like the final people that were left behind on the planet when everyone else moved on or went to outer space with billionaires. And so here is where I started developing the idea. They have a lot of good characters on here too. I just wish movies would cast characters that had more interesting faces, because for me as an artist, I love painting interesting faces, like not the traditional beauties. And Pexels does a really good job because you're getting people that are taking photographs from all over the world. Which is great. You're not just getting the most beautiful of Hollywood. Anyhow, so I started off with the fire, which I think is kind of interesting. And I wanted it to be kind of like a fire and ice type feel. And here's our lead actor. And I'm putting her in, and she is going to be the one that is drawing people in with the eye contact. We've talked about this before, about how eye contact really breaks that fourth wall and brings people into looking at the movie poster and creating a relationship with the audience. When I saw this picture, I was like, that is exactly what I would see on a movie poster. Like some person, like, is that an alien or am I just fixing a pipe? This guy looked super cool, but I was missing the top of his head. So later on, I'll show you, I had to actually take another photo of him and put his head actually put it together. I just wanted something so when I was painting, I had an idea of where everything was going to be placed because I don't want to accidentally paint his head like like a Cohen head or something. So yeah, you'll see that later. Okay, so I went back and I found an Avengers poster, Guardians of the Galaxy, all these like very modern superhero sci-fi movies kind of use a similar color palette where there's just tons of people, and not even modern. Like even I think Star Wars had something similar. And I'm just going around and placing the heads all around, thinking about what the story is going to be like and who the characters are going to be. So actually, I had an entire other sci-fi painting idea, and I used her as my main character. I just think she's super cool looking, and I just loved it. But now she's just like a secondary character in this film, imaginary film. And I was looking for people that had either blue or red or neon or magenta, the colors that I was already kind of thinking about already. And like a fire and ice style theme. So he doesn't really, he had the kind of teal thing. And I thought, well, I could still play with the teal. And his face is light enough to kind of blend in with the girl above her and also a little bit with the jacket. And I mean light as in value, you know, like we're thinking if you can't match color, try to match value. So are the colors, you know, high contrast, or are they in the mid-tone range, or are they in the darker values? And you can always play with the color with a photo reference, as you saw in the last two design videos later. Okay, so now I have them sort of placed in, and now I need to design the rest of it, the ice part. I have this kind of like flare thing, and I knew I wanted to have like, it's going to look like Mars, but it's actually going to be in my imagination planet Earth years from now. So I wanted to find a picture of Mars because that was the idea I had. Oh, and this kid, you always have to have like in these movies, like, not always. You don't always have to do anything, but there tends to be like the characters that you cast in films, and he's like the innocent character, the child who maybe has to give up his innocence in order to save the planet. All right, so we have our cast in, and now we're going to create a little bit of story with our background. Oh, we're also missing the head, the top of the head, so that will be placed in. So in case I'm talking and I'm placing the head in for the guy on the right, upper right, you'll know what's going on. Okay, so now I am adjusting the tints to match either blue, magenta, or red. That's kind of like the color palette that I'm working with at the moment. And I'm adding this cool filter on. Now it's really starting to feel like a movie. So when you're editing a movie, you are playing around with the color palettes, as we talked about in our previous videos. And there are these LUTs, and LUTs are basically like presets that you can put on top of a when you're editing. So you have your basic raw footage, and you can put a LUT on, and it'll make everything appear like the colors are darker or more intense, more blue, more orange. So I was trying to take these photos that I got from Pexels that are very much designed for like crispness, not to emulate the feel of film. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of adding these filters on to make it appear almost like a photo LUT, like we shot this movie on 35 millimeter. And so it's going to have this more grainy effect. The colors are a little bit higher contrast, like you tell with the boy that I'm working on right now. We're pushing the dark values, the blacks, and the lighter values to create this like cinematic feel. All right, Mars. So the red planet. It is Mars, but in my imagination, it's going to be Earth in the future. Just for the storyline, of course. Uh, that one was too light in value. I, I found this one then. This is more interesting. You have the darks and the lights, and you can really play with this because already the whole piece has this very much like play with your contrasts and your shadows, and it matched the color of the fire perfectly. I felt like I got really lucky with this one. And then moon, fire and ice type thing. Who knows? Maybe we have to go to the moon and to escape the fire, Earth. Or maybe it's blowing up. I have that flare behind it. It's going to be a crazy movie. And I'm grouping these together so they don't move. Grouping is so great. Like this, if you wanted to place something together, if you group it, then they're going to kind of like stick together. Like you've actually, like if this were a collage, you glued it, they stick, and now you can move them around without them separating. Light flare. Gotta have light flares in a movie poster like this. Something's gotta blow up in space. With loud explosion sounds too. Anyhow, so I'm putting the light flare on the moon, I think. I think at this point in time, I didn't know what to do with his head, and I was like, maybe I can hide it with a light flare. Not, it looks like he's an angel. So I decided to start going in. Yeah, I'm still trying to make him into an angel, I think. All right, these glows are the best. And you can tell this glow that I found, I'm actually matching it to the color palettes that were, that I have from the photo references. That is such a great feature for Canva. It is so helpful. And I ended up using this black blur over and over and over again to kind of hide things, to let things fall off into the distance, because movie posters are really good at doing that, to only focus your attention on the things that matter. So you can use these glow or blurs, opposite of the glow is like kind of the dark blur, to you can move them around and place them pretty much everywhere, and you can tell as it moves forward that I pretty much copy and paste this blur everywhere. Wherever I don't want them to look, I'm going to put it in and move it around so it's either behind somebody or in front of them. And now we're really starting to put the attention on the boy in the foreground, and it's creating this shape where it's drawing the attention up to our lead character. This guy still doesn't have a head. We'll get there. I think this whole time I was actually thinking about that, like, I gotta do something about this guy's head. Could that be part of the story? You just gotta do it. Just have to fix it. All right, another part of the story is at the bottom of these movie posters, they usually have a second storyline on the bottom of the movie poster. So you kind of have like, yes, we're in space in the background, right? And then in the bottom of these floating head things, they have like a smaller part of the movie. Maybe you're setting the scene somewhere else, or another part of the story is being developed in this poster. So I'm actually bringing us to Red Earth. Welcome to the future, in this storyline at least. And in order to match them up, I actually copy and paste, and then I reverse it or just flip it so that they kind of line up. And that is going behind the kid anyhow, so people are not going to be able to like people are not going to care very much. And then to make it look a little bit more like a little bit different than the other side, I'm adding a blur to kind of like hide the fact that it's the same exact image but flipped. And I'm going to add one more additional element to it to really make it look like it's something else as well. And that is the flare that I'm about to do. It's like this solar flare that we can see from Earth that's like, hey, you gotta, maybe that's what it is, you know? You have so much, it's almost like speed. You have so much time before the solar flare is going to be. You can't stay on planet Earth anymore. You shouldn't even be there. You better hurry. I'm talking about the story. The story of this painting in my imagination, of course. All right, using the black blurs again to hide things. I'm still thinking I could blur out his head. It's not gonna work. Looks, what? No, yeah, it's not gonna work. Okay, so now I'm going into the photo filters, and I felt like she was not pink enough or magenta enough or something. Oh, orange. That worked out perfectly. Because blue and orange are opposites on the color wheel, so they look really good together. Oh my gosh. Sorry, my daughter just woke up from her nap. I better make this quick. How much time? Okay, 4 minutes. All right, I'm looking back at the Star Wars poster for motivation. I think this is where the inspiration for this design originally came from. The Star Wars poster. I mean, that was the modern Star Wars poster, though. I should have looked at the characters. Okay, here's the solar flare that I'm adding in, and I'm just deciding where it's going to go. It matches the color really well, and I'm just going to make it, I might use I'm trying to figure out where it's going to go. Maybe it could go on his head. I tried to put it on his head. It didn't work. All right, and I just adjusted the transparency. I'm going to put it behind the kid by moving the position backwards. And I'm using the black blurs to kind of shape this flare in a way where like it blends in with what's going on above it. I didn't want like a harsh line from the photograph. I think it looks really good besides his head. So right now I think I made that decision. Like I'm pretty much done with this piece, and now I need to just focus on the top of his head. Looks so good. All right, here I go. I find a photo of the same guy, cropping it using the background remover tool, and actually looks really good. Oh yeah, let's just get rid of him. We just need his scalp. So creepy. And we're just gonna put a new head on him. Perfect. Oh, whoops. Let's do this again real fast. So that is one of the problems with Canva. Sometimes you do the background remover tool, looks perfect, and then it doesn't save it, or you didn't do it fast. I don't know the reasoning, to be honest, but sometimes it will make you do it again. All right, and that is it. We did it. And I think it looks really good. I just changed the saturation. I added a little bit of a blur to make it appear that it is, we added a blur, and I think it looks pretty good. And I will see you in the next painting video. Take care.